People deal with despair and depression in different ways. Some eventually get past it while others find it more difficult to deal with, and most likely see suicide as the only way out, away from the pain, pressure, and even substance addiction. Rock stars don't always lead ideal lifestyles. Tragically, many notable musicians who took their own lives. In this video, we will share 10 most heartbreaking rock and roll suicides. Before watching, make sure to like and subscribe our channel for any latest video. Number 10. Chester Bennington. On July 20, 2017, the world was met with the news of Chester Bennington's death and apparent suicide by hanging.
Really hard, all at one time. It was like one of our friends died of cancer. My stepdad died of cancer. And I was like, drinking again. All my relationships were struggling, everything was struggling. I was burnt out because I was just like, fuck the world.
Around 9 a.m., his housekeeper found his body in his home in Palos Verdes Estates, California. The day after, coroner confirmed that no drugs were found at the scene, only a half-full bottle of alcohol. He was set to embark on a 29-date North American tour with Linkin Park the following week. He was close friends with Chris Cornell, who also committed suicide 2 months prior. Coincidentally, July 20 is Cornell's birthday, which is why some speculations erupted about the possible connection of their deaths. Number 9. Chris Cornell. An architect of the grunge movement, Chris Cornell is undoubtedly one of rock's greatest vocalists. However, while he is an amazing performer, he constantly battled with depression and addiction to alcohol and prescription drugs.
Well, one of the lessons is depression can be a good thing because it can sort of force you to change things in your life that are bothering you. If you're depressed because, say, you're in a bad relationship, which is something that happened to me, I really put up...
On May 18, 2017, his bodyguard found his body lying on the bathroom of his MGM Grand Room in Detroit. This was after the Soundgarden show at the Fox Theater a day prior. He had an exercise band around his neck, and the official cause of death was suicide by hanging. Though drugs didn't play a part, several substances were found in his system like the sedative butalbital, anti-anxiety medication lorazepam, and the decongestant pseudoephedrine. Number 8. Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was at the top of his game when an electrician discovered his body in the room of his house at 171 Lake Washington Boulevard East in Seattle, Washington on April 8, 1994. He had a shotgun across his chest with his suicide note in a flower pot. Just before his death, he checked out of a rehab facility.
I finally have been prescribed the right stomach medicine after 6 years of being in constant pain. Finally, I haven't had a stomach problem for over a year now.
According to his family members, Cobain had been battling depression even before he achieved global fame. Also, his stomach pains became so severe during their tour that he ended up depending on heroin to make it better, and he was once heard saying, "This is the only thing that's saving me from blowing my head off right now." Years after his death, however, rumors began that he didn't commit suicide and instead, it was homicide, an evil plan masterminded by no other than Cobain's wife, Courtney Love. Number 7. Brad Delp. We remember him as the man with an exceptional range, a voice that could easily give anyone goosebumps. But on March 9, 2007, he committed suicide at his home in Atkinson, New Hampshire using carbon monoxide poisoning, and the police found his body on his bathroom floor. Aside from 2 charcoal grills, there was also no paper clipped on his shirt, "Mr. Brad Delp, I'm a lonely soul."
I think it's a challenge that every young band has to try and have some kind of success. And I think success to me, and I think probably to Tom too.
According to some reports, Sullivan, whom Delp planned to marry that summer during a break in his tour with Boston, said that the legendary rocker had been depressed for some time, feeling emotional and bad about himself. Number 6. Keith Emerson. Keyboardist and founding member of prog rock supergroup Emerson, Lake and Palmer, he developed a degenerative nerve condition in 1993. This limited his ability to play the keyboard and thus, he was forced to take a year off. In 2002, however, he was able to play again after a surgery. But his girlfriend shed light on how he was prior to his death.
If it was anything less than that, I would not have done it. I'd send the money in. But what we're dealing with here is a rock classic, and we are all working together on this for a good cause.
With a shot to the head, he died on March 11, 2016. The medical examiner also found out that Emerson suffered from a cardiovascular disease. Number 5. Elliott Smith. Aside from a distinctive vocal style, Elliott Smith was a multi-instrumentalist. He suffered from depression his entire life. And he also had problems with alcohol and drug addiction. He used to openly talk about killing himself, which is why his suicide didn't come as a surprise to some. His lyrics were more introspective and had a melancholy message, but it was still heartbreaking all the same.
I mostly only know things are different because people ask me different questions, but I don't feel like things are very changed.
On October 21, 2003, his partner Jennifer Chiba found him with 2 stab wounds to his chest after he heard him scream. Prior to that, they were arguing at his Lemoyne Street home in Echo Park, California. There were conspiracy theories that developed later on, with some claiming that it wasn't suicide, it was murder. Number 4. Sid Vicious. This is perhaps one of the most disturbing cases of suicide in rock and roll. He was charged with the murder of his girlfriend Nancy Spungen after she bled to death following a single stab wound in her abdomen. 10 days later, Sid Vicious tried to kill himself using a smashed light bulb to slit his wrist. While hospitalized, he again attempted suicide by jumping out of the window, but was pulled back by a hospital personnel. After he attacked Patti Smith's brother, Todd, he was sent for an enforced detox. To celebrate making bail, his mother and some friends organized a party. Sid was clean but apparently found heroin during the gathering. He overdosed at midnight on February 2, 1979, but according to his mother Ann Beverly, he intentionally killed himself because he and Nancy had a suicide pact. She even claimed that she found a note in Sid's jacket pocket which read, "We had a death pact, and I have to keep my half of the bargain. Please bury me next to my baby. Bury me in my leather jacket, jeans, and motorcycle boots. Goodbye." Number 3. Michael Hutchence. NXS lead singer Michael Hutchence's private affairs were no secret because the press was all over his relationships with models and other celebrities. During the final leg of the band's 20th anniversary tour, Hutchence was found dead in his room by a maid at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Double Bay, Sydney. It was on the morning of November 22, 1997.
I didn't think I was sort of talented enough or anything to really even make $1 out of it, to live, to eat. We were trying to...
He left a voicemail for his business manager, Martha Troop, saying, "I've fucking had enough." He had a snakeskin belt around his neck. It was tied to a knot to the door closing mechanism, and the coroner ruled his death as suicide. Number 2. Pete Ham. In 1975, Pete Ham had a lot on his plate. Badfinger's business manager Stan Polly disappeared, bringing their funds with him, which basically left the group penniless. With so many issues and problems, he fell into a depression and hanged himself in his garage on April 24, 1975, just 3 days before his 28th birthday. He became a member of the infamous 27 Club.
Every day, feel the tears that you weep.
One of the last words he said was, "I know a way out." There was also allegedly a note near his body that read, "Stan Polly is a soulless bastard. I will take him with me." Number 1. Tom Evans. Another tragedy that struck the group. Tom Evans tried to move on after Peakham's suicide, and he became part of other bands before rejoining Badfinger. In 1982, he tried to embark on a tour with Mike Gibbons and Bob Jackson. It didn't end well because they were stranded in the US due to lack of funds, and they didn't even have tour dates. When he got back to Britain, he was sued for $5 million because he abandoned his contract. On November 19, 1983, he got into a heated argument with guitarist Joey Molland because of the royalties for their iconic song Without You, after which he hung himself from a willow tree in the garden. The sad fact remains that while Badfinger was popular, they were never rich and never reaped the financial rewards of their hard work.